My lungs screamed. Each ragged breath tasted metallic, heavy with acrid smoke and the stench of chemicals. Blindly, I fumbled for the gas mask at my hip. Where was it? The battle raged on round me, a symphony of alien screeches, laser blasts, and the bone-chilling clang of metal against monstrous claws. Someone yelled Sergeant Hale, but the roar of explosions swallowed their words. Finally, my fingers found the mask, cracked and warped from a glancing strike. I pressed it to my face, but the seal was broken. Useless, another near miss shook the ground, thus choking my lungs in a thick cloud. Hacking desperately, I staggered forward. The world a sickening blur of twisted metal and mangled bodies. We had lost, the base overrun. It was only a matter of time before they wiped us out entirely, snuffing out another futile human stand against the encroaching Zraxian forces. But I wouldn't go easy. I planned explosives, wreak as much havoc as possible, and make them pay for each inch of scorched earth they claimed. A shadow moved near a half-collapsed bunker. I raised my pulse rifle, finger trembling on the trigger. Another human, friend or foe. My heart hammered like a drum in my chest. Hail! The shadow rasped between coughs. I lowered the rifle, the fight ebbing from my aching muscles. It was Lieutenant Ramirez, his olive skin spattered with dirt and something darker. He stumbled forward, clutching his side. Sir, I tried to keep the shock from my voice. Tried to sound like the seasoned soldier I was supposed to be. But seeing my commanding officer wounded, vulnerable, cracked the tough exterior I wore like armor. His good eye, the other hidden behind a bloody bandage, fixed on me with desperate hope. We need to get out of here. I nodded, the weight of responsibility washing over me in cold shivers. The lieutenant looked to me now, a scared kid barely older than I was. Where? They've breached the perimeter. Ahead stretched the blasted field, pocked with craters and littered with debris and the silent, broken forms of my comrades. Behind, explosions punctuated the chaotic hum of the battle, drawing closer, closing us in. Every direction promised death. Hail, he wheezed, leaning against me for support as another volley of gunfire made the ground tremble. I know a way. Follow me. Weaving between twisted hull fragments, we skirted the main combat zone. The sounds of the fight faded, chilling in their absence. I tasted despair, acrid and bitter in my dry throat. We were dead soldiers walking. Then, a glimmer of movement from within a crumpled transport shuttle caught my eye. Not human movement, a flicker of too many limbs, the glint of segmented armor plating. Azraxian. My muscles tensed, but Ramirez pulled me down, a low hiss escaping his lips. Easy. Soldier. His whisper held an edge of warning I didn't understand. That's our ticket out of here. My gut twisted in protest. Collaborate with the enemy? The creatures that had murdered our friends. Raised whole cities, the same aliens who saw humans as nothing more than cattle to be herded, then slaughtered. But the lieutenant's gaze was steady, desperate, a flicker of doubt, and then resigned determination replaced the fear. If this was our only escape, so be it. Desperation makes for strange bedfellows. Ramirez led me forward, crouching low, one hand pressed to his side. I mirrored him. Pulse rifle gripped so tightly I feared the plastic might crack. With agonizing slowness, we approached the shuttle. No sound came from within. Ramirez motioned for me to take point. I inched closer, rifle raised. My breath hitched in my throat, not as Raxian. Inside the shuttle sat a creature with chitinous plates that shifted with an unsettling iridescent glow. Multiple eyes blinked at me, and its lower limbs terminated in sharp pincers. It hissed, a sound like steam escaping a faulty pipe, and gestured weakly toward the empty pilot's seat with a limb that ended in smaller, delicate appendages. Ramirez climbed inside, and I followed, heart pounding like a war drum against my ribs. The alien slid across the floor and settled into the pilot's chair, its many eyes focused on the controls. Ramirez met my gaze, his grim expression barely visible in the dim light. He's a Sherlaxian medic. Took an oath, just like our doctors do. He ain't gonna hurt us. Oath or not, it went against every instinct the first possessed to place my life in the hands of this creature. But what choice did I have? My finger twitched on the trigger of my pulse rifle. The temptation to end this risky alliance burning in my gut. The alien no. The medic gestured at Ramirez's side with concern in its multifaceted eyes. He reached into a compartment near its station and produced a worn medikit emblazoned with a symbol I didn't recognize. A knot formed in my throat as I watched him work, his movements quick and practiced as he cleaned and patched Ramirez's wound. Something in his careful actions, the gentle way he treated my commanding officer, eased my instinctive fear ever so slightly. "We're gonna be okay," Ramirez said, and though his voice was weak, his eyes held a spark of defiance. "He's with the resistance. They smuggle out those who'll fight back." My worldview shattered. There were aliens who resisted the Zraxian conquest as fiercely as we did, and this Sherlaxian was one of them? The shuttle lurched upward, straining against the planet's relentless gravity. We were airborne, leaving the blood-soaked battlefield below. Panic gave way to numb confusion. My whole life, I'd known the Zraxians were the monsters, and humans the valiant heroes struggling back against annihilation. Simple, black and white, but now, those lines had blurred in a way I could barely comprehend. The medic chirped was that concern, and offered me a slim tube filled with a murky green gel. I hesitated, my stomach churning. It could be a slow poison, ending my life before I could fight another day. But seeing the pleading in Ramirez's eyes, I took it, downing the bitter concoction in one gulp. It tasted vaguely of mint, masking a bitter undercurrent. My tense muscles began to unwind, the sharp edges of exhaustion softening slightly. Pain reliever, maybe, or some sort of stimulant to keep me going. Ours bleed into one another, a disorienting mix of the medic's unsettling chirps, the monotonous drone of the shuttle's engines, and the ragged breathing of Lieutenant Ramirez. I drifted, and out of a painful doze, the medic's strange brew dulling the sharp edges of pain, but not quite pushing back the creeping shadows of exhaustion. When I finally roused to full alertness, the shuttle's interior glows with a dim, reddish hue. My body screams in protest with every bump and jostle of the turbulent flight. We've been airborne for ages, leaving the ravaged landscape of my home planet far behind. I don't know where we're going, or what terrifying fate awaits at our unknown destination. The medic stirs, its segmented body rustling as it turns those multifaceted eyes toward me. In the half-light, it looks even more alien, monstrous. Yet, the careful way it treated Ramirez, the defiance lurking beneath its subservient gestures, those puzzle pieces refused to fit the picture of a cold-blooded enemy I'd ingrained in my mind. The creature chirps, a questioning lilt in its steam whistle voice. Then, with a gentleness that belies its imposing form, it presses another tube of that green goop into my hand. "What is this?" My voice rasps, dry as dust. Each word echoes with a suspicion I can hardly contain. Ramirez's voice cuts through the thick silence. "It's medicine, Hale. Helps with the pain. Keeps you going." His tone leaves no room for argument, yet I stare at the tube, fear battling a flicker of desperation. The Sherlaxian medic observes me, something akin to patience in its insectoid eyes. "Why?" The question slips from my lips before I can contain it. "Why are you helping us?" Lieutenant Ramirez answers, his voice hoarse but firm. "He's a smuggler, part of a network that helps people fight back. Like us, like you, Hale." I understand the words, but the meaning remains as elusive as the true nature of this flight. We're with the Resistance, some ragtag group of aliens fighting against their Zraxian overlords. I tried to picture it, humans and aliens, side by side. A common cause overriding millennia of natural distrust. It's impossible, fantastical. Yet, here I am, sharing cramped quarters with an alien I should consider the enemy. This creature saves my commanding officer, maybe even save my own life. Logic crumbles in the face of this bizarre, life-altering experience. A new surge of pain lances through my side, a stark reminder of the battles we've left behind. I choke down the gel, my body craving the temporary relief it offers far too much to let pride interfere. Soon, that bitter mint washes over my tongue, and my tense muscles finally begin to unwind. The medic makes a series of chirps and clicks, then gestures towards the control panel. We're approaching our destination. I sit straighter, suddenly alert. Out the viewport, darkness swirls with wisps of colorful gases, dotted with pinpricks of starlight. We emerge into a debris field, the remnants of some colossal space battle. Ahead, a vast asteroid hangs in the void, its surface scarred by craters and gouges. My breath catches. This is their base, a barren, floating rock. It doesn't scream rebellion so much as desperate last stand. But as we draw closer, I make out the glint of metal amidst the stone. Camouflaged outposts carved into the asteroid's cratered surface, shipyards, flickering lights. Signs of activity beneath the desolate facade. My mind races, trying to categorize this ragtag collection of ships, some sleek, some battered docked haphazardly throughout the cavernous docking bays. Alien designs I've never seen share space with decommissioned human shuttles. This is real. This resistance, impossible as it seems, is an undeniable force lurking in forgotten corners of the galaxy. The shuttle weaves its way through the labyrinth of ships, finally coming to rest within a cramped hangar bay. The second we dock, the medic chirps and hurries out, leaving Ramirez and me alone in the eerie quiet. We're safe for now, Ramirez says, slumping back with a relieved sigh. His breathing sounds ragged. Shallow. Sir, I say, urgency tightening my voice, you need medical attention, and I don't mean that stuff. We need a real doctor, a clean med bay instead of this alien clinic on wings. Ramirez gives me a tired smile. Soon, hail. First, we need to introduce ourselves to our new allies. He winces as he pushes himself to his feet, a line of fresh blood staining his bandages. We step onto a landing platform jutting out of the asteroid's side. The air is thin, each breath a struggle. And waiting for us is a group of the most diverse beings I've ever seen. There are humans, yes, their faces drawn and weary, but their eyes burning with defiance. Yet, sharing the platform are aliens of every conceivable shape, sleek felinoids with shimmering eyes, bulky reptilian creatures with armored scales, even towering figures that might almost be mistaken for mechanical constructs. A knot of fear tightens in my chest. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's war. One fought with uneasy alliances I wouldn't have believed possible a day ago. The Sherlockian medic chitters and gestures towards us, his many legs clicking on the metal platform. The gathered aliens turn to us, their expressions ranging from wary curiosity to outright distrust. It's mirrored in my own tense muscles, in the way my hand instinctively drifts toward the pulse rifle on my hip. My training, every ingrained prejudice, screams at me to fire. Yet, something holds me back, perhaps the dull ache of the medic's brew, or maybe the flicker of shared determination I see reflected in the eyes of this strange, mismatched assembly. A woman steps forth from the diverse throng, her gaze sweeping over me and Lieutenant Ramirez. Human, dressed in a simple jumpsuit rather than battle fatigues. She has an aura of quiet command about her. Her hair is cropped close to her skull, and a network of scars crisscrosses her weathered face. Lieutenant Ramirez, Sergeant Hale. Her voice is low and steady, laced with an accent I can't place. Welcome to Sanctuary. She nods slightly, as much acknowledgement as a war-hardened leader is likely to give. Ramirez takes a faltering step forward, offering a weak salute. Commander Rojas, he gasps. We made it. His knees buckle, and I lunge forward, barely catching him before he hits the cold, unforgiving metal. Rojas moves with surprising speed, catching his other arm. Get him to the med bay, she orders, her voice cutting through the shocked silence. Two of the aliens, both towering, beetle-like creatures, by the looks of them, scoop Ramirez up with surprising gentleness and rush him into the depths of the asteroid base. Who are you? I blurt out, unable to contain my churning mix of unease and awe. And what is this place? Rojas turns to me, her eyes sharp and assessing. I am the leader of the resistance, Sergeant. We fight for freedom, for ourselves, for humans, for anyone the Zraxians seek to enslave. She gestures to the bustling asteroid, the ragtag fleet hovering in their carved-out ports, her weathered face creasing in a grim smile. Sanctuary is a testament to improbable alliances, A reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, hope can endure. Then, like a thunderclap, the revelation hits me. The uneasy knot in my stomach twists into full-blown dread. Wait, you said enslave. The Zraxians, my voice catches on a choked sob. Fragmented memories flooding back. The attack on my home colony. My parents herded into monstrous ships while I hid in the ruins, watching in helpless horror. They don't just annihilate us. I clench my fists so hard my fingernails dig into my palms. They slaughter some, capture others like cattle. Yes, Sergeant, sympathy flickers in Rojas' eyes. And sanctuary exists to break those chains. The air whooshes from my lungs as understanding dawns, icy and unforgiving. I fall to my knees. The metal platform harsh beneath me, the truth of it an unbearable weight. Those weren't just combat shuttles filling the skies during the invasion, but slave ships. We hadn't just been fighting for our planet, but for the lives of every man, woman, and child. Taken against their will, forced into servitude under the Zraxian regime. How long? My voice cracks, the question echoing the vast emptiness gnawing at my soul. How long has this been going on? Rojas pauses, the hardened lines on her face deepening. The Zraxians have conquered and exploited our worlds for longer than most of us can remember. The resistance began in whispers, in hidden corners of a galaxy overrun by monsters. Her gaze turns to the Sherlaxian medic, its segmented body buzzing as it directs traffic into the base. It began with a few brave souls, like our friend here, who believe in cross-species cooperation, who knew that only by standing together could we hope to survive. Shock gives way to a simmering rage, a deep, gut-wrenching fury that I have never known. All those years of fighting, the losses we suffered, all so much worse than we ever imagined. My mind reels as the implications sink in entire civilizations, their histories and cultures. Enslaved. I'll fight, the words are automatic. A vow ripped from my lips before I can fully process what they mean. I'll fight for every single life they've stolen, for everything they've done. Rojas nods. Welcome to the resistance, Sergeant Hale. Welcome to the war for real freedom. My heart thunders in my chest. It's a desperate hope, a dangerous gamble. Yet, in the eyes of these aliens, some of whom I've been taught to hate my entire life, I see a resolve that mirrors my own. Hope in this place of despair isn't some naive dream it's forged. In the fire of stolen lives and the unbreakable will to fight for every stolen breath, a medic appears from the base human this time and directs me to a sterile room. That's brighter than any I've seen during the long, dark war. They clean my wounds, mend broken bones, offer words of tired, practiced comfort. It feels wrong. This kindness, after the brutal battles I've endured. Yet, I let them work, let the exhaustion wash over me. Sleep comes for the first time in ages. And it's not plagued by nightmares of fallen comrades and alien claws. When I wake, it's to a world forever changed. Commander Rojas stands at the foot of my narrow bed. No trace of pity in her steady gaze. In her hand, she holds a weapon that gleams with an unfamiliar technology, part alien, part salvaged from human tech, I'd wager. This is a hybrid pulse rifle, she says, holding it out to me, crafted by our finest engineers. It may not look like it, Sergeant, but this is the first step towards freedom. Her words are met with silence. It's almost too much to bear this leap of faith. The belief that humans and aliens can forge something strong enough to break the Zraxian chains. They took my family, I finally admit, my voice barely above a whisper. The memory, sharp and painful, lingers like a phantom ache. I don't even know if there will find them, Rojas says with a quiet, unyielding strength. We find everyone, every soul lost to the Zraxians. No one is left behind. She places the rifle on the bed next to me. My fingers twitch, longing to touch the cool metal, to grasp this symbol of our new alliance. It's strange, alien, yet it thrums with undeniable purpose. We are the misfits, the rebels, and the survivors. A flicker of hope, stubbornly refusing to be extinguished, becomes a defiant roar within me. This is more than just a war against an invading force, it's a war for survival, for freedom, for the very soul of the galaxy. I sit up straighter and reach for the rifle. It's cold, heavy, and a path to a future I never could have imagined. And that future begins right now.